My name is Laura. I'm 37 years old, married, and a mother of two. My husband, John, is the man I believed I would grow old with. We have been married for 12 years, and for most of those years, I thought we were happy. We have two beautiful children, Emily, who is 10, and Max, who just turned 7. Our life seemed like a picture-perfect dream until everything fell apart. Our days followed a comforting routine. Every morning, I would make breakfast while John got the kids ready for school. We would all sit down together, sharing toast and scrambled eggs while laughing at the silly jokes Max loved to tell. After school drop-off, I would head to work at the local library. My afternoons were quiet, filled with the smell of old books and the low hum of a small-town life. John worked as an accountant, a steady job that allowed him to be home in time for dinner most nights. Everything was peaceful, predictable, and safe. I never imagined that the foundation of my life could crumble overnight. It started with something small, something that seemed insignificant at the time. John was late for dinner. He had called me earlier, saying he was stuck at work, but there was something in his voice that I couldn't quite place. It was almost distant, like he was somewhere else entirely. I brushed it off as exhaustion. He had been working hard recently, after all. But then it happened again, and again. One night, John came home past midnight, the scent of someone else's perfume still lingering on his clothes. My heart sank and my stomach twisted in a knot. When I confronted him, he laughed it off, saying I was imagining things. But I knew I wasn't. Something was wrong, and the sense of unease began to grow, gnawing at me day and night. I tried to push it out of my mind, to believe that I was just being paranoid. But the signs kept coming. He started getting more secretive with his phone, keeping it face down on the table or taking calls in another room. He was spending money recklessly. I saw charges on our credit card for fancy restaurants and expensive gifts, things I had never received. I tried to ask him about it, but every time, he would get defensive, shutting me down with an angry glare or cold silence. I felt like I was losing my mind. The man I had built my life with was slipping away from me, and I had no idea why. I began to look for answers. One afternoon, while John was at work, I went through his phone. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through his messages, my heart pounding in my chest. What I found confirmed my worst fears: messages to another woman, words of love and promises that he had never made to me. My world shattered in that moment. I confronted him that night. I remember standing in the kitchen, the room filled with the soft glow of the overhead light, my voice trembling as I asked him about the messages. He didn't deny it. Instead, he looked at me with a coldness I had never seen before and said, "It's not what you think." He offered no explanation, no apology, just a blank stare that made me feel like I was nothing. The days that followed were a blur of pain and confusion. I wanted to believe that we could fix things, that somehow we could go back to the way we were. I tried to talk to him, to understand why he had done this, but he was indifferent. He stayed out late, sometimes not coming home at all. When he was home, he was distant, his eyes always on his phone, his mind somewhere else. I felt like a ghost in my own home, invisible and unheard. The children began to notice. Emily, who was always so bright and cheerful, became quiet. She would sit at the dinner table, her eyes darting between me and her father, confusion written all over her face. Max, too young to understand what was happening, started acting out at school, his teachers calling me to express their concern. It broke my heart to see my children suffering, to know that the happy, stable home I had tried so hard to create was falling apart because of something I couldn't control. I tried to keep it together for them. I would smile and pretend that everything was fine, but inside I was falling apart. I spent sleepless nights lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering where I had gone wrong. I wanted to leave, to take my children and run, but I couldn't. I had no job that could support us, no family nearby to help. I felt trapped, caught between the need to protect my children and the fear of what would happen if I left out. One night, John didn't come home at all. I called him over and over, but he didn't answer. The next morning, he walked in, as if nothing had happened, his face expressionless. I stood there, my voice breaking as I asked him where he had been. He didn't answer. He just walked past me into the bedroom and closed the door. That was the moment I knew that the man I had loved was gone, that the life I had built was nothing more than an illusion. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I will ever find the strength to leave, or if I will stay, hoping that somehow things will get better. All I know is that I am scared of what my life has become, scared of what it might be if I leave. I want to protect my children, to give them the happy life they deserve, but I don't know how. I am lost, and I don't know if I will ever find my way back. If you enjoyed the story, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world to me.